all on her arm. And she was like, I'm going to have to go home tomorrow because I'm going to have to get on my medication or this is just going to get worse. So the next morning, they were so active. The Bigfoot were everywhere. There were footprints. There was all kinds of signs. You were hearing things. One of the guys had had a face-on encounter with one. That next morning, when she come up to where we were, that skin rash was gone. She said, I have never had this happen before. She said, it takes weeks to get this cleared up. Now, how did that happen? She asked me, do you think the Bigfoot did it? I asked her, what do you think? Do you think they did it? The one thing I will say is I've read too many things and been involved with too many people who have had that happen. I don't know the circles of people that you talk to. I talk to a pretty wide circle around the United States and overseas. And I'm hearing this a lot. This is that energy flow that's going on. Another one was, and this was witnessed by several people. I was not with these people, but this was witnessed by several people. This man was having heart problems. They were at the camp. He didn't want to go home, but the pain was really getting bad, and he had a history of heart problems. So he was just, so upset. Well, I'm going to have to go in. I can't get in out of these mountains tonight, but I'm going to have to go in tomorrow. But they had had so many sightings and so much stuff going on. They were literally all around them, calling, wood knocking, doing all kinds of things. And so late that evening, he went into his tent. His friend that was sleeping in the tent with him, they went in there. They laid there, listened to the night sounds and how awesome that is, and they went to sleep. Well, he was awakened in the night with this sound. How many of you have heard that? I've got an audio with that on it too. It was almost like a vibrational buzzing. And he's laying there and he's going, where in the world is that coming from? And he's like, it's coming from me. It's coming from my chest area. And then he began to feel it. And he just laid there quietly, listening and feeling that vibration. Well, he's trying to be quiet when he wants to jump up and say, oh my gosh. But he doesn't want to wake up his friend who he thinks is asleep. So finally, the person who he thinks is asleep says something. What is that noise? Where's it coming from? And they get up and peek out the door, don't see anything, came back over, laid down on their cot, and where is that coming from? And how long has it been going on? And he says to his friend, well, for quite a while now. She said, well, at least 12 or 2 hours. It woke me up, and I've just been laying here going, trying to be quiet because I didn't want to wake you up because I knew you didn't feel good. But she was hearing it too. Now, during this time that this is going on in the night, the whole camp, all the other campers think they hear these two people walking around the camp talking. They think that they just went for a night walk and they were talking, going out. Well, they weren't out of that tent. They talk for a little bit. They both go back to sleep. He gets up in the morning. There is no pain, no weakness. No, none of that. How does that happen? It happens. Now, I'm going to tell you another story. If I can get that. Ah, there we go. Okay, you heard me talk about indigo a while ago. See indigo's name up there? In 2019, Matthew and I were in a semi-wreck. It was bad. The cab was ripped off, turned around. When the rescuers got there, or the highway patrol, they thought, there's no way anybody can live through that. But we did, and with purpose. And so both of us were life flighted, and that's a big story. But we finally get home. This was in northwest Arkansas, where this happened, on a road we shouldn't have been on, but that's where the Arkansas DOT told us to go. But I'm having a problem after we get home. And so my nurse came in, home health, and we're talking, and she decides she wants to call the paramedics and have them come check me. My leg was like huge. For me, what happened in the wreck was my foot had 6 bones broken in it. My leg was crushed. I have a huge hematoma, part of it's still there, in this leg. This leg across the ankle was sliced open. Now, my leg and my foot are huge. So the paramedics come, they start assessing me, and they're like, we think it's a PPE, you need to get to the hospital. So a PPE is a blood clot. So, well, we could take you in the ambulance, but it's going to take an hour and a half to get there, and it's going to be rough. Or we can life flight you. Oh boy, another life flight. So they life flight me to St. John's in Tulsa. And they bring me into the emergency, and they come and start checking me and assessing me and all this, and then they come in and they say, you have got a blood clot on your upper and lower right lung. It's that close. And the right leg was the leg that had the hematoma on it. With your hematoma, we don't know how we're going to address the clots. Because if you know anything about blood clots, what you do for a blood clot wouldn't work real good with a hematoma that's pushing stuff out. So they came on something to do. My doctor said, I have never read information where there were no medical number terms for what they did to you, because everything they did to you they hadn't really done before. Well, yeah, I'm kind of scared, but I'm okay. So they're taking me up to my room, and my daughter's with me. We come into the room, and you know, when hospital rooms, they'll have a board up there, and it will tell you, okay, this is the doctor, these are the nurses, these are the aides, and have everybody's name on there. When we walked into that room and I looked at that board, you see that name right there? Your admitting physician was Dr. Indigo. There was no Dr. Indigo in that hospital at that time.
Wow.
How did that happen? When I saw that, I said, I'm going to be all right. I'm in good hands. At that point, they didn't know if they could save my leg, let alone my life. But somebody intervened. Now, does that make them deities? No, it does not at all. it says they know how to use that energy. You know, how do you do that? How do you do Reiki? We have Reiki people here who do Reiki. How does that happen? I'm not even touching your body. And yet there are healing properties, things that are going on. It's energy, vibrational energy. That, when I saw that, I was like, that's amazing. I'm okay. Indigo's got me, you know. So I was just totally, okay. Whatever you're going to do to me, I'm going to be okay. Somebody's got my back. I can tell you I've been from coast to coast and into British Columbia. I have hiked and primitive camped by myself. I walk around in the dark, and a lot of times barefoot. I'm connected. I stay connected to everything that's around me. It doesn't matter to me if it's a leaf or a giant tree or a person or an animal or Grandmother Moon or Grandpa Fire. All of these things, we are all connected to them. And the truth of the paranormal world is we're waking up to this is normal. This is not paranormal. This is the normal course of life. And how does that happen? Open your heart. Open your mind first, and then open your heart. You know, Kashima talks about something that he calls the knowing. And that's where we're going to. And what is that? When was it you talking about that love, that feeling, that... Have any of you ever felt that from the Bigfoot people? Fear does not exist in that. There's not a thing in the world, and it's just like that. You could be hit by whatever, and you know that everything's okay.
Never have I been bothered by hogs, and there are hogs all around you.
Yeah. And that's what Rick Taylor said after being able to see the family was, my whole life's changed. I'm not afraid of anything. And it's not like, oh boy, I'm Superman. It's, oh my gosh, I feel that love. I feel that love. And that's where we're going. And I see it more and more every day. People say, oh my gosh, all this stuff is happening. Yes, it's happening, but love's happening too. And I don't take this love lightly as some flirtatious whatever thing. It is a deep, complete, consuming love. When Rick Taylor when we walked back up to the fire that night, one of the women was sitting at the fire and said, oh my gosh, you look like Moses. He was just glowing. He was feeling that it's a complete acceptance of who we are, the divine beings that we are. These are my books, My Life with the Hairy People, and actually that says with the hairy people, and Respecting the Water. As I said, respecting the water is important to me, and the artwork in that book is really cool. So the paranormal is becoming the new normal. I hear that said all the time. Paranormal, as we get into quantum energetics, learning about quantum entanglement and all of those things, the normal is the paranormal. Thank you.
Thank you, Arla.
You're okay, you can go across.
No, nobody said it was my turn yet. No, well, nobody said when, so I don't know. I will find out.
Thank you. Thanks. Sweet.